everybody. I'm Matt. This is Diane. Welcome back to Italy Bound.
So today is not going to be a typical video for us. We're not going to show any properties or anything like that or talk about any towns. We're really sad because we found out last week that the Houston consulate has now raised their minimum passive income for a couple from $38,000 to $62,000 net. And so that puts it completely out of our reach for now. So now we are forced to come up with plan B, which is fine, we can do that. And so now we are going to, in addition to Italy, which still has our hearts and where we want to end up, we're gonna start looking at other countries in the EU as well.
Yeah, we're going to be looking all throughout the Schengen area, and we're going to want some feedback from y'all as to what areas you might want us to look into. One of the places that we're going to probably be starting off with will be France, since it's neighboring right up to there, and probably go to another couple places after that. But for now, this is about as good as we can do, and hopefully down the line something might change, you know, because Italy still shows it as being $38,000 on the passive income, but the consulates can put their own amount on there, which they're actually doubling for the couple.
Yeah, so it was disappointing to say the least, but it's fine. We will figure something out, and if we have to move somewhere else over there in the EU, at least we're closer to Italy, and you know, we'll just take it from there. So just wanted to explain, you know, a couple of things that are going to be changing. We're going to have to change the name of our channel because we don't know if we're Italy bound at this point. So we're gonna
we know we're Europe bound.
Yeah, so we're gonna change the name of the channel to the Europats. So I don't know that there will be any problem with YouTube and y'all finding us, but just so you know, that's gonna be the new name. And so I'll go ahead and do that today. I just wanted to, you know, let you guys know that it was changing. And so what I thought we would do today is I want to go over the pros and cons of Italy. And then, since we're starting to have to go look elsewhere, I also want to do the pros and cons of France, because that's where we're going to start this process. So I'm going to put a couple of slides up that I've created, and we're gonna talk through this and look at some pros and cons. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the pros of Italy. And so, and I'm just gonna go down the list, and again, I'm gonna put this up so that you guys can see it. One of the major pros for Italy is its history and its culture, which speaks for itself. I mean, it's Italy.
Oh, they've lived it for thousands and thousands of years, and they still live it as of today, like other than the U.S., what they do.
Yeah, and they just, you know, they've got the slower pace of life. They have all the festivals and traditions, and you know, the U.S. has some of that as well, but, you know, Italy is known for those. Another one of the pros is their food. Nothing else needs to be said about that. Their food is amazing. They have a low cost of living. They have a low cost of housing. Their healthcare system is named one of the best in the world. They have an excellent healthcare system. And for the US, or for outsiders coming in, expats, you have to buy into that system. And it's 2,000 euros a person per year. And that is, I believe, until you become a permanent resident, which would be 5 years.
Which would be 5 years.
Their architecture is amazing, as Matt likes to talk about the Baroque architecture is some of our favorites.
Not Baroque, but Baroque.
It is by far some of our favorite. It is just stunning. All of the medieval villages are just stunning. Weather, you can pick a climate. I mean, you can be really hot, or you can be really cold, or you can be somewhere in between.
Right in between, where you've got all 4 seasons.
Yeah. So I mean, you take your pick of that. The locals are extremely friendly.
Take you in like family.
Yes, which is a huge plus, in my opinion, for Italy. Also, they have these 7% flat tax regions on foreign income. So that was a big deal too, because for 10 years you can pay a 7% flat tax, which would definitely help
Right.
with your taxes for the year. So now let's talk about the cons of Italy. Bureaucracy, they're known for it. They have horrible bureaucracy.
Very slow.
Yeah,
And very tedious.
And it's never the same, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, it's never the same. From any given, you can go from one region to another same day and get different answers, or you could go to the same place different times in a day and get different answers. So that is a big con for Italy. Another con is their strikes, their transportation strikes. So, say that you're planning on going somewhere and you have to take a train. Well, they could just decide, we're going to strike, and then you're just out of luck. There's nothing you could do about it. So we don't have a lot of that here, but they live with it. So
Yeah, the closest strike that we got to was the ports down there in Houston. Where they were talking about striking down there, not bringing imports in and stuff. But luckily, they got through that.
Yeah. They also, especially in the South, they have trash issues, and that would bother me, especially like in Palermo and all of that. You see trash everywhere. So they do have those issues and drought issues, which that's not really their fault.
They've got drainage issues too.
Yeah, exactly. Another con is their visa requirements. Come on, it doesn't cost that much to live in Italy that you have to raise it that much. I mean, on one hand, I get it, but I'm heartbroken over it.
Well, I mean, they could have just raised it up a little bit instead of doubling it. Right now, doubling it, that's going to throw a lot of people off their plans.
Yeah, we've heard from a lot of people that are very upset about it.
Yeah, my wife posted something on our other site, and we got some comments back, that apparently some people now their plans are ruined, or some people have given us some encouraging words of look, just keep going.
Thank you for that, by the way.
And that's what we are going to be doing. We're going to keep going, but we're just, instead of just sticking to Italy, we're going to go through the whole EU.
Yeah. Another con in my book, but I get it. I mean, it just is what it is the cost of health care for the expats, the 2,000 euros a year. That could be costly, but still way cheaper.
A lot cheaper
than the
out
U.S.
Here.
But, living on a fixed income, I could see how that could be hard for some people. Another con is their public transportation efficiencies. You can't get a taxi, you can't call an Uber. Sometimes you're not near a train, sometimes you're not near an airport. So
if you're quite a distance from the bus or train station, that might cause a problem, because a lot of people will not have a driver's license while they're out there, and that's one of the things that you got to deal with.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. Another con, and going back to the visa, is that you have to have a long-term lease or a home purchase for the visa. And you have to have that before you even know if you're approved for the visa. And so you're taking a huge leap of faith by doing that. So
make sure you've got all your ducks in a row. You've got every piece of paperwork that you need, plus all your copies. I mean, if you think that you've got enough, no.
Double check, triple check.
Double check it. Like she said, triple check it. If you've got to make copies of everything, make 2, 3, 4 copies of everything, and that way you're covered.
Yeah. Speaking of driver's license, that's another con because, oh my, I mean, I have heard the horror stories about the driver's license. They do not have an exchange policy with the U.S. or other countries that I know of.
No.
Maybe if you're already in the EU. But you have to take their test, both driving and written. Sorry.
Yeah, and the written test is done in Italian.
Well, so is the driving portion too. Your person telling you where to go is Italian.
But I believe that you can have an interpreter in the vehicle with you, but they're in the back seat.
Right.
And but I mean that would just make me double nervous. I mean, taking the test.
Turn right, back there.
Even though I've been driving forever, I mean.
Yeah. So that one, yes, you can live without a car in Italy. You have to live in one of the cities that has all of the public transportation, but it limits you, whereas if you were able to have a car and a license, then
and live out in the rural area where you can have a place with a little bit of land and be able to drive into the city or something like that, or it's just you're going to have to be right there close to bus or train.
Yeah, and lastly, another con that some people don't think about is that there are some brokerage firms that will not allow you to maintain your account if you live in Italy due to the tax regulations and all of that. I know that some of them will let you can keep them, but all you can do is liquidate funds out of them. You can't do anything else. So if you're still planning on moving to Italy, make sure if you have brokerage accounts that those companies will allow you to, still run it as normal in Italy, because some don't. So now that we have talked about the pros and cons of Italy, let's bring in another country, and we are going to talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of France, which, by the way, we love France. It's beautiful. There are places in France, especially if you get one of the medieval villages, that you couldn't tell that you're not in Italy. I mean, they're very pretty.
Yeah, we've never been there, but everything that we've been watching and looking into, just as beautiful.
Yeah. So now let's talk about some of the pros of living in France. Their history, their culture. They've been around a long time, just like Italy has been. And their history and culture is just as amazing as Italy's is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Food. I'm not going to say anything else. I don't need to.
They've got excellent food over there.
Yeah, they do. Don't have to say anything about food.
Now, the only thing about the food is it might be a little higher priced than what it is over in Italy, but you're getting the same type of quality.
Right. Exactly. Weather. Just like Italy, you can get it whatever you want. It just depends. You can go up north and have cooler temperatures. You can go down south to the French Riviera and have hot temperatures, or you can have in between, have mild. You have your pick on those. They do have a lower cost of living than the U.S., like Italy does. They have a lower cost of housing, except you have to be outside of the larger cities like Paris and Nice and Lyon. If you get out of those cities, it's much cheaper.
Yeah, they've got all those, just like over there in Italy. They've got all these smaller cities and villages outside these big cities, and they go down drastically on prices. So, I mean, that's one of the easy parts of looking for them. France
also has a pretty reliable public transportation system, and you can even get taxis and Ubers, and they have their trains and they have buses, and so yeah, in fact theirs might be a little bit better than Italy's. I feel like you'd be more connected.
In some of the cities they've got the actual, tram cars that go through the whole city. It's like a train and a bus all put into one. You've got the bus systems, you've got the high-speed train rail systems. I mean, it's excellent all the way around.
It really is. They also are known for their excellent healthcare system. And after 90 days of being a resident in France, you do qualify and you do not have to buy into it. You automatically qualify to be in their healthcare system. And it is amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. So I've heard very good things about it from several people and channels that we watch.
I would be very surprised if if the healthcare system part wasn't better than Italy's.
It probably is. I mean, but
quality wise, I'm not sure about, but getting into the system,
it's definitely easier.
definitely
for sure.
easier.
Yeah. Visa requirements, much easier.
Very.
Right now, for a couple, each person has to make the equivalent of what they call SMIC, which is like their minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
And so right now it is around 1,700 euros per person, or about $1,400 net per person, which is a substantial difference from Italy's.
Right.
So, I mean, we'd have no problem qualifying for that.
We were figuring it up, and we could easily go over there on just my income.
Yeah.
And we could leave hers alone until
Right.
she gets old.
I don't get old. I age in reverse. So, that it's a lot easier to get a visa there. Another pro is that in France, if you want to become a citizen, a dual citizen, you can do that after living in France for 5 years, which in Italy, it is actually 10 years. So that's a much quicker way to get that EU passport if that's something that you're wanting to do.
So after the 5 years, once you get your visa, you can live anywhere you want in the EU.
Exactly. So I think that's what so many people are wanting, is that EU visa, because of the fact that you can go anywhere over there.
Yeah, and you're not having to spend so much time here and then get out, come back in, get out. I mean, you have no
you just have to, if you're going
time frame.
to, yeah, well, if you're going to stay in a place, like if we were citizens of France and we wanted to live in Italy, we could do it. But after 90 days, you have, if it's going to be more than 90 days, I should say, you have to report it just like you would if when you get your visa in Italy, you have to report after 8 days, I believe. But so a faster path to citizenship for sure.
Right.
In France. Another thing, they have an excellent tax treaty with the U.S. and Italy does too. So, I mean, they don't try to, they succeed. They prevent double taxation on your income. So, excellent.
So if I'm getting taxed out here in the United States, I'm not going to get taxed out there in France. But it could be the opposite too.
Basically, I think what you have to do, whatever you're paying, whatever taxes that you pay, whether you pay it in France or whether you pay it in the U.S., it goes toward what you pay in the other country.
Yes.
So that's how they prevent you from being double taxed. A huge pro of France
This is one of my favorite pros.
Is we happen to be in one of the states that we can just exchange our Texas driver's license for a French driver's license. No exam, no test. It's just an exchange. Italy, come on.
There is some paperwork to do to do it, but you also have up to a year. Once you get there, that clock starts, and you've got up to a year to get that driver's license switched over, or you're going to have to go back through if you miss out on it, and you will have to take the test, which is in French, but you can have a tutor there with you. And also you'll have to do a driving test, which they can actually have you. I mean, I've been driving for years and years and years. They could actually put me back through a driving course, and if they don't feel I'm ready, they can tell me that I need to go through so many different classes. It could be up to 10 classes to learn how to drive in Italy.
France.
France. And some of those lessons can cost up to €100 just for an hour and a half, and you're paying for 10 or so. I mean, it's not that hard. Just when you get there,
Do the exchange.
jump in there and do it.
Jump at the chance.
Because I will be.
Because it also doesn't limit you to where you have to live either. You could live,
Yeah,
anywhere.
because once you get that driver's license, go get you a car, and you can live out in the rural area. You can live close to the city, which something with us, we would want to live somewhere sort of close, but not in a city, unless we just happen to find a place that we can't live without. And because we want to make it to where if we want to, we can just walk. We can get on our bikes and just ride up there or something like that. We would like to have a car just to be able to travel. Like, say if we lived in France, we could just drive over to Italy and go visit for however long, as long as it doesn't go over a certain amount of time.
90 days.
Yeah, but that's a big pro in my book.
Oh, yeah. So it kind of opens up more possibilities for you, for sure. Another pro is that most brokerage firms will allow clients to keep their brokerage accounts and live in France. And there's not the restrictions that Italy has on there. So
yeah, so if you've got accounts with, say, Edward Jones or Charles Schwab or something like that, you more than likely you'll be able to keep those accounts.
Yeah. So now let's talk about some of the cons of living in France. And there's the top two here are probably the biggest cons in my opinion. And one is that the locals are more reserved. Now, we kind of keep to ourselves anyway, so, but we like to talk to people too. So
I have a tendency to just come up to people and start talking to them.
Well,
She found that out whenever we would go out on vacation to different places. I get curious. I want to talk to people. I want to know certain things.
well, they'll probably run from you in France. They are more reserved. I hear that it is harder to become friends with them. However, once you do, they're very loyal and you have a friend for life. So
Right.
I think it's just going to take some time. Another con is that the language can be difficult to learn for some people. In taking these classes and stuff to learn Italian, I don't find it too difficult. I think it's, other than the fact that I can't roll an R, I don't find it very difficult. More of a memorization type thing. French, on the other hand, I took 3 years of French in high school, and I only remember the dirty words. So, and other things like, my name is and stuff like that. So, but I am finding in looking, going through some courses that it's not coming as easily to me as Italian was.
No, it's worse for me.
There's some similarities for sure.
There are a lot of similarities between certain words and things that between Italy and France, but it's
going to be fun.
That's
going to be fun, but it's doable. You can take class. I mean, if we end up over there, we're retired. We can take classes. We can hire tutors. We can do it. And I don't really have to roll an R. I just have to want to hop a loogie. Do a lot of that. Anyway.
Yes. I mean, she makes it sound like, it's, I always think the opposite, like she's saying, we can just take classes and everything. learning a whole nother language, especially when you don't know a thing about it.
Well, yeah, but you want to so that you can talk to people.
You do, but it's just
You can do it.
At an old age like that, when you're getting over there,
You can do it.
be Mr. Grumpy.
He can do it. He can do it. And one of the this list is extremely short. One of the another con is that they too have strikes. Especially transportation strikes. So, but I think if I heard this correctly, they do give you some notice on some when they're going to strike.
Yeah,
I think I've heard that.
If like say you get a ticket to fly somewhere, and they will notify you saying, "Hey, we're getting ready to go on strike. You better make Plan B work for you."
I think that I have heard that.
Yeah,
that they will do that.
Well, as a matter of fact, just watching a video just a little while ago that that's one of the things they do. They do notify you ahead of time. Most of the time. I'm not going to say all the time, but most of the time they notify you if there's a strike coming up and you've got, say a flight or a bus or a train or something like that to get on, they'll let you know.
Yeah. I feel like in doing the research and comparing the two, I do find that things are much easier, with the exception of the language, and the people not really, just being more reserved, that it's an easier process to get to France than to get to Italy, which surprised me a little bit. I didn't realize exactly, I guess, how much more difficult it is to get to Italy and how much longer things take.
Yeah. I thought it was just normal for, because that's all we were looking into is all Italy. We had nothing else on our minds. And then when we started looking into other Schengen places, we start to find out that, there are easier places to get into, visa-wise and, and getting situated in their country.
And driver's licenses and
a lot easier than it is in Italy.
The other countries. They all do the exchange with the exception of Italy.
I mean, there's a lot of them over there that are doing the exchanges. You've got Spain, you've got Portugal.
I can't remember if Greece does or not.
I think Greece does do a license switch, but there's a couple other ones too that I've got to look into, but. We'll get to that when we start doing the videos.
Yeah, so like I said, we're going to, start looking at the other countries. We are going to start with France. I know that we've also looked at Portugal, and we've looked at Spain, and we have looked at Greece, and we'll talk about each of those as well. Some of the countries are even more expensive than the U.S. Don't think we're gonna look at those because. That's not anything that we would even consider. If it costs more to live there than the U.S., then that really doesn't make sense. So,
no.
But anyway, we appreciate you guys sticking with us and the encouragement that we've received because we really were heartbroken over this, and it's like a punch in the gut. So. We were probably for a good week. We were. Just down. I mean, it was like our dreams just took a dump and just said, forget it, But we're working on Plan B, and so far Plan B is looking pretty good. Yep. When one door closes, another one opens.
And we don't have a Plan C right now, but right now we're going to be working on this. And if there's any places in the EU Schengen area that y'all want us to look at, let us know in the comments, because we're going to be doing just like y'all. We're learning it as we're going. We do our homework, and we try to get the information out there. If there is some information you want to find out that hopefully we can find out for you, we can do that. Or if there's someone that lives over there that's watching this, and you know from experience, from living there, let us know.
Please help us out.
Yeah, help us.
Because we really do need that. And this does not mean all of you people that have come to us to watch videos on Italy. That does not mean that we're going to stop putting videos of Italy up. We love it. It's our very favorite place. So we are still going to do videos on Italy as well. In fact, we tend to record a couple of weeks in advance. So the video after this that you're going to see is still going to have Italy bound in it, and it's still going to be a video on Italy. But we wanted to cut in front of that with this one so that you guys could, so we can explain what's going on, because you're going to see the name change. And
maybe, I don't know if she can do this or not. She's pretty good on the computer. Maybe she could throw in what our new logo is going to be, and how you. I think if we just put it up, I don't think we lose anybody unless y'all just unfriend it. But I think we just switch it over. So if you see it switch over to a new logo that she's going to try to post so that you can see what it looks like, just be patient with us and help us out.
Yeah, be patient with us as we work out these kinks. But so from here on out, we're going to be the Europats. So we are not limiting ourselves to one country.
Right.
So in case we don't want to have to go through this again. So, but again, next week is going to be a Italy video, a really good one. And then we'll start with France after that. So that gives us a couple weeks to decide where we want to show first, because
yeah, because we're going to be jumping around to different places. We're going to be trying to find, probably the best places for expats to get to and retire or go on a vacation. So it might be a little different from like us going and doing Paris or going and doing, one of the big cities or something like that.
And we're going to butcher every name.
Yes.
I'm throwing that out there in advance. Every name will be butchered. So bear with us as we regroup here. But we appreciate you guys.
Very much.
And we appreciate all of the encouragement. It means a lot. And you guys are quickly becoming friends. And we just appreciate you guys sticking with us and hope that you continue to stick with us. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and to be informed when our videos will come up, which is going to be Fridays at 3 o'clock Central.
Yeah. And who knows, you might change your mind on where you want to go whenever
you never know. You could be in the same boat we are.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys next week. You guys have a good week. And we're not going to say ciao.
I'll say it.
He's still going to say ciao. I'm going to say bye. We'll talk to y'all later.